Imagine signing the biggest check of your entire life.
Oh, boy.
Right, you're handing it over. Your hands are literally trembling. And then you're told that some stranger with a clipboard just devalued your new home by like $50,000.
Yeah, the dreaded appraisal gap.
Exactly. Welcome to the appraisal gap. It is this this crazy moment where the cold, hard logic of a spreadsheet just completely shatters against the highly emotional, volatile reality of residential real estate.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, you spend months searching, you finally win the bidding war, and then one single bureaucratic snag threatens to just completely unravel the entire milestone.
It really is the ultimate diagnostic murky water, if you will, because when you step into the housing market, this whole illusion of a purely transactional process.
Like it's just math.
Right, like it's just math and contracts. That just evaporates. You're dealing with human emotion, competitive frenzy, and this absolute labyrinth of financial regulation that can turn a dream scenario into a total nightmare overnight.
Which is exactly why you, listening right now, are in the exact right place. So welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We are framing this entire conversation around navigating one of the most honestly overwhelming life milestones any of us will ever face.
Buying or selling a home.
Buying or selling a home.
Yeah.
And specifically, we're looking at doing this within the highly competitive market of Sacramento, the capital.
Right.
So whether you are gearing up for your very first purchase, or maybe you're looking to sell a family estate, or honestly, even if you're just insanely curious about how the modern real estate machine actually operates behind the curtain, we are going to break it all down for you.
Yeah, and our source deck today provides just a really fascinating window into this whole ecosystem.
It really does.
We're examining a collection of web materials, some highly detailed client testimonials, and a really specific property audio overview sheet.
Yeah, and all of this material centers around a Sacramento-based Coldwell banker realtor named Joseph Olson.
Right, and he's basically serving as our practical case study today for how the industry actually functions at a high level.
Exactly. The mission of this deep dive is to completely deconstruct the modern real estate transaction. By looking at his specific operational practice and analyzing a very specific property listing he manages, we are going to extract the hidden signals in real estate.
The stuff most people just miss entirely.
Exactly. We want to understand exactly how an agent's communication style and their ability to decode really complex market data functions as the literal difference between closing on your ideal home and just losing out entirely.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we even get to the terror of the appraisal gap or, the bidding war, we have to look at how buyers even begin to filter the landscape.
Oh, the search phase.
Yeah, looking for a house on modern portals is, frankly, it's like trying to diagnose your own illness on WebMD.
Wow, that is spot on.
Right. You have all the symptoms and the data. You've got price per square foot, walk scores, DOM days on market HOA fees. But without a doctor to actually synthesize it, you just end up panicking.
Yeah, the WebMD metaphor perfectly captures the current buyer dilemma. You are just flooded with data, but completely devoid of context.
Drowning in it, really.
Exactly. And if we look at the source material regarding Joseph Olson's practice, we see this attempt to bridge that gap. His site features specific tools like a school finder, neighborhood news, local Yelp favorites, and a local market trends tracker.
But see, on the surface, a buyer might think, well, I can just pull this information myself, right?
Right. But the value isn't in just having access to the data. It's in the active synthesis of it.
Cool, interesting.
Let's take the school finder tool, for example. A novice buyer looks at a school rating simply as, an academic score.
Like 8 out of 10, great.
Exactly. But synthesizing that data requires understanding that school district quality is actually an economic insulator.
Even if the buyer doesn't have children.
Even if they never plan to.
Right.
Precisely. You are buying into a microeconomy. Top-tier school districts create this baseline of perpetual demand.
Because families will always want to move there.
Always. So when the broader macroeconomic environment cools down and housing prices dip, homes in highly rated districts historically retain their value at a much, much higher percentage.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So By embedding a school finder right alongside local market trends in Sacramento, the agent is forcing the buyer to look at the holistic ecosystem of a neighborhood.
You're not just looking at the four walls.
Exactly. You are evaluating the educational infrastructure and local business vitality because those are the invisible pillars that are holding up your property value.
It shifts the buyer from passive scrolling to active strategic evaluation.
Right.
And that shift, from digital overwhelm to tangible strategy, it shows up in a very specific way in the sources.
The binder.
Yes. There's a testimonial from a client named Joe Jeremiah. He was the seller. And he notes that upon meeting, Joseph handed him a very comprehensive binder.
Not a PDF.
No, not a link to a cloud drive, not a digital attachment. A physical, comprehensive binder full of comparable sales, projected timelines, and a start-to-finish process guide.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine there is a psychological component to handing someone a physical object during a high-stress financial event, right?
Oh, there's a massive basis for that in behavioral psychology. I mean, selling a home taxes a person's cognitive load to the extreme.
Oh, I bet.
You're dealing with the disruption of your personal sanctuary. You've got the financial anxiety of pricing it right, and then, the vulnerability of having strangers walk through your living room.
Opening your closets.
Yeah. And the human brain really struggles to process all of those variables when they exist purely in the abstract, just in the digital ether.
Right.
So handing a client a physical binder provides these tangible, tactile boundaries to that stress.
It quite literally bounds the anxiety. Like the chaos has a front cover and a back cover.
That's a great way to put it. It signals containment. It tells the client the agent has done the synthesis.
The heavy lifting is done.
Exactly. The comparables, the timelines, the marketing strategy, it is all curated and confined to those pages. It lowers the barrier of anxiety because the client no longer has to hold the entire conceptual weight of the transaction in their working memory.
They can just look at the coffee table and see it.
Right. They look at the binder on their coffee table and they know, okay, the process is managed.
And according to Joe Jeremiah's review, this synthesized groundwork led to a highly strategic listing price, which resulted in a buyer in 1 day and a closing in 3 weeks.
Which is phenomenal.
It's incredible. But, that physical binder might calm the seller's initial anxiety, but it's put to the ultimate test the moment an offer is accepted.
Yeah. The real fun begins.
Because the paperwork isn't the actual hurdle the bank is.
Right.
Which brings us to the pain points highlighted in the source material. I was reading through these client testimonials, and a review from a client named Aaron Beckman mentions hitting a snag in the loan process.
Yes. The snag.
Yeah, the dreaded snag. We talked about the appraisal gap at the top of the deep dive, but a snag could be anything, right? From underwriting, questioning a weird bank deposit, to an employment verification delay.
Absolutely anything.
So the question is, how does an agent actually solve that algorithmically?
Well, they solve it by acting as a bureaucratic translator.
A translator.
Yeah. Because when a buyer gets an alert that their loan has hit a snag, their reaction is inherently emotional. They see their entire future falling apart.
Oh, they're picturing the moving boxes being unpacked.
Exactly. But the financial institution, on the other hand, operates purely on risk assessment and regulatory compliance.
Right.
An underwriter isn't looking at a family, they're looking at a risk profile. So if an appraisal comes in low, an amateur agent might just tell the buyer to scramble for more cash to cover the gap.
Just, hey, find 20 grand somewhere.
Right, which causes pure panic. But a strategic agent attacks the mechanics of the appraisal itself. They pull their own comps, they scrutinize the appraiser's adjustments for square footage or lot size, and they challenge the valuation with empirical data.
So they are essentially auditing the bank's work.
Yes, exactly. They are holding the financial institution accountable to the reality of the local market.
Wow.
And Erin Beckman's review notes that when she hit her loan snag, Joseph immediately got on the phone with the bank and smoothed things out.
Smooth things out makes it sound so simple.
Right, but smoothing things out means formatting the exact documentation the underwriter needs to satisfy their very specific conditions.
It's not just saying, hey, please approve this.
No, not at all. It means navigating the hierarchy of the lender's office to find the actual decision maker. It requires a profound understanding of lending mechanics so the buyer doesn't have to learn them on the fly while their closing date slips away.
That plays directly into the other major pain point mentioned in the sources. Navigating multiple offers, which a client named Smolzander highlighted.
A huge issue in Sacramento.
Right. In a competitive market like Sacramento, I'd imagine the agent's ability to navigate those loan snags becomes a known quantity among their peers.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it's not just about the buyer and the seller. It's about the reputation the agent has with the person on the other side of the table.
The invisible power of connections and reputation is just paramount in this industry.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Think about it. A listing agent reviewing 5 relatively similar offers is going to look really closely at the name at the bottom of the contract.
The other agent's name.
Yes. If one offer is represented by an agent who is notoriously known for letting deals fall apart in underwriting.
Because they don't do that translation work.
Exactly. And another offer is represented by someone known for meticulous procedural discipline, the listing agent will advise their seller to take the path of least resistance.
Even if the offer is slightly lower.
Sometimes, yes, because they will choose the agent who actually gets their clients to the closing table. The phrase smart marketing and strong connections from the Molson and review speaks directly to this dynamic.
Man, I want to look closer at that procedural discipline because the sources point to a hyper-specific operational style that makes this all work.
The response times.
Yes.
Yes.
I read this part of Joe Jeremiah's review,
Yeah.
and this standard is just wild. He says, Joseph contacted me daily with updates, and he responded to every call, every email, every text immediately.
Immediately.
And he elaborates. He says, no waiting a day for a response, not even an hour, and not even 10 minutes.
Wow.
A sub-10-minute response time. I'd imagine a 10-minute response time isn't just about politeness or good customer service. It's a defensive strategy.
Oh, completely defensive.
Because if an inspection fails, a 24-hour delay gives the seller time to call their backup offers. But a 10-minute response traps them in the negotiation.
That is the exact strategic maneuver right there. In real estate, time and silence kill deals.
Silence kills deals.
Yes. A transaction is held together by momentum. If you encounter a problem, say a structural issue on the inspection report, a 24-hour vacuum of communication allows the seller's anxiety to just compound.
Right, they start panicking.
Their agent starts looking for exit strategies. But if you receive that report, draft a proposed addendum, and send it over within 10 minutes with a calm, analytical solution, you completely deny the other party the opportunity to panic.
You don't even let the seed of doubt get planted.
Exactly. You control the narrative.
It's like flying through heavy turbulence.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah, so the loan snags, the inspection issues, those bumps are terrifying for the passenger, right?
Absolutely.
But if the pilot is immediately on the intercom explaining the altitude adjustment and the radar readout, the panic never sets in. The hyper-responsiveness acts as the intercom.
The intercom analogy is highly accurate because it requires the pilot to absorb the stress so the passengers don't have to. And the sources show a duality here that is incredibly difficult to maintain. Joseph Olson lists his core values as integrity, honesty, respect, and excellence.
A lot of people say.
Sure, but Aaron Bethman's review points out his people-first attitude and describes him as compassionate. And another review notes he balances this highly demanding career with his role as a husband and father.
Right.
So to be highly empathetic to the emotional toll of a transaction, while simultaneously maintaining the operational discipline to respond to crises in under 10 minutes, that requires a very specific temperament.
It requires being a stabilizing force.
Yeah.
You have to understand the human element without losing the analytical edge.
Well said.
Now, I want to take all this theory, the market dynamics, the defensive communication strategies, the data synthesis, and I want to apply it to a tangible asset.
Let's do it.
Because the source material includes the audio overview notes for a really specific property listing. 5041 McCloud Drive in Sacramento, California, 95842.
Okay, let's run the diagnostic on the property itself.
All right, so the sources describe it as a solid family home built in 1974. It has an attached garage, a fireplace, and it comes in at 1,478 square feet.
Okay.
But here's the data point that literally stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home.
Ah, yes.
I have to play the skeptic here. I just don't get it. 4 bedrooms squeezed into 1,400 square feet sounds like living in a submarine.
Chuckles inwardly. I hear that a lot.
How is that a feature? I am honestly picturing closets with beds in them.
It is the completely natural reaction when evaluating historical architecture through a modern lens.
Really? Because modern houses are huge.
Exactly. To understand the immense value of this specific footprint, we have to explore the macroeconomic and architectural history of 1970s housing.
Okay, take me back.
So prior to this era, the mid-century American dream was totally defined by the sprawling ranch home. Land was cheap, materials were cheap, and crucially, energy was cheap.
Oh, right. Pre-energy crisis.
Exactly. But as the 1970s progressed, moving toward those energy crises, builders had to pivot dramatically. The era of cheap heating and sprawling footprints just ended.
So they had to build smaller. But families weren't getting any smaller.
Precisely. So the architectural philosophy shifted entirely to functional optimization.
Optimization.
Yeah, because if you look at modern homes built today, they often suffer from a massive excess of dead space.
Oh, like those giant foyers.
Yes, you see massive soaring entryways, these sprawling open concept areas that are incredibly difficult to furnish, and incredibly long, wide hallways.
Right.
A 1974 build like 5041 McCloud Drive was engineered to eliminate that dead space. The architects basically removed the hallways and allocated every square inch to livability.
Wow.
The matrix of the floor plan is just highly efficient. So you aren't looking at 4 tiny closets, you are looking at a home where the square footage is fully utilized for human habitation rather than aesthetic grandeur.
So you are trading visual volume for actual utility.
You are maximizing utility while minimizing the economic footprint.
Because you still have 4 bedrooms.
Right. And a 4th bedroom in a sub-1,500 square foot home offers just unmatched versatility for a modern buyer.
Oh, for sure. Especially post-2020.
Exactly. It serves as a dedicated home office, a fitness room, or a nursery. You capture the functional utility of a much larger house, but your property taxes, your maintenance costs, and critically, your heating and cooling bills during those intense Sacramento summers.
Oh, man. The Sacramento heat is no joke.
It's brutal. But all those costs are bound to that highly efficient 1,478 square foot footprint. You aren't paying to air condition a 2,500 square foot house just to gain a single home office.
That makes total sense. And the attached garage and the fireplace just add to that fundamental practical appeal. It's a home designed for actual living, not just a magazine spread.
Spot on.
But the physical walls are really only half the story here. There are 2 other details in the source material for McCloud Drive that definitely require translation.
Okay, let's hear them.
The sources note that this property is coming off an off-market status and that it possesses a consistent, reasonable property tax history, which they say suggests a stable ownership environment.
Ah, these are great signals.
Let's start with off-market. Why does that matter to a buyer? Like, isn't on-market better because you can easily find it?
Well, I mean, it completely dictates the psychology of the negotiation, right? When a new listing hits the multiple listing service, the MLS, it triggers this automated frenzy.
Oh, yeah, the email alerts.
Exactly. Every buyer in the region gets an email alert simultaneously.
Right.
It creates this blood-in-the-water scenario that often leads directly to the multiple offers pain point we discussed earlier.
It's manufactured urgency.
Exactly. Buyers feel this intense manufactured urgency. But an off-market status represents a strategic window.
Because it hasn't been subjected to the algorithm yet.
It hasn't been thrown to the wolves. Perhaps the seller was quietly preparing the home, or they were only entertaining private showings through established networks.
Right.
For a buyer whose agent has those strong connections we talked about, accessing an off-market or recently off-market property provides a literal moment to breathe.
You don't have 20 people at an open house glaring at you.
Exactly. You can actually assess the true value of the home, conduct your due diligence, and potentially negotiate without the immediate pressure of 20 other buyers breathing down your neck. It is a massive tactical advantage.
That is so smart. And what about the tax history? The idea that a consistent, reasonable property tax history is a selling point is just fascinating to me.
That's a hidden signal.
It really is. It implies we are reading the financial residue of the previous owner. Why do we care what they paid?
Because the financial residue tells you exactly how the physical structure was treated.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. In California, property tax structures are designed in a way that often rewards long-term, continuous ownership with the stable tax baseline. If a property is bought and sold every 2 years, the tax assessments constantly recalibrate to the new, usually higher, sale prices. Therefore, a consistent tax history is a massive, flashing signal of long-term ownership.
And long-term ownership implies?
It highly correlates with structural integrity.
Oh, because flippers do cosmetic work, but long-term owners do structural work.
That is the core of it right there. The psychology of a homeowner who plans to live in a house for 20 years is vastly different from an investor who is flipping it in 6 months.
The investor just wants it to look good in photos.
Right. The investor paints the walls, installs inexpensive aesthetic flooring, and totally ignores the aging water heater because it won't be their problem in 6 months.
But the long-term owner.
The long-term owner replaces the roof with high-quality materials because they have to sleep under it. They maintain the HVAC system. They take care of the foundation. When an agent analyzes the tax history and identifies a stable ownership environment, they are telling the buyer this home was stewarded, not just traded.
Stewarded. Stewardship versus trading. That fundamentally changes how you look at an asset.
It really does.
It brings the humanity back into the transaction. So, to distill these insights for you, the listener, if you are stepping into the Sacramento housing market, or honestly any competitive real estate landscape, raw data is not enough.
Not even close.
A list of school scores or days on market is utterly useless until a professional synthesizes how that data protects your investment over the next decade.
Exactly.
Surviving the gauntlet of the modern real estate transaction, the sheer panic of an appraisal gap or the complexities of underwriting requires an agent who acts as a bureaucratic translator and a defensive strategist.
The pilot on the intercom.
Right. A sub-10-minute response time isn't just good service. It is a tactical weapon used to control the momentum of a deal and trap the opposing party in negotiation before they can second-guess the contract.
Time is everything.
And finally, assessing a property like 5041 McCloud Drive requires looking way past the raw numbers. It means understanding the historical architectural efficiency of a 1974 build, recognizing the immense financial value of a stable ownership history, and finding the hidden utility in a well-stewarded home.
Navigating this ecosystem demands moving from a purely emotional or purely numerical mindset into a deeply strategic one.
Which means having the right architect for that strategy. Joseph Olson's practice served as the framework for today's deep dive. And if you're looking for that level of synthesized guidance in the capital region, he is the resource.
Absolutely.
You can reach out to him for a free, no-obligation market consultation or to arrange a private showing of the McCloud Drive property. His CalDRE number is 0208-3344. You can contact him at Coldwell Banker Realty by calling 916-835-2968 or via email at joseph.olson@cecilrealty.com.
The concept of stewardship we uncovered today leaves us with a really compelling thought to consider.
Oh, lay it on us.
We analyzed how a home's stable ownership history creates immense hidden structural and financial value for the next buyer.
Yeah.
It is a testament to how the property was maintained and loved over time.
Yeah.
So as you begin the search for your own place in the world, consider your own role in that chain. How will the way you choose to search for, invest in, and ultimately live in your next home shape its legacy for the person who comes after you?